the Advanced Lava Notation book, specifically on center of weight, that Yaukir Koff and I pulled together. So, the question is, where is your center of weight, your center of gravity? Now, number one, terminology, center of weight, center of gravity, which is more correct? And I went to the Science Museum in London and checked with a knowledgeable man there, and he said, for your purposes, there is no difference. That when they really go into scientific measurements and so on, then they make a difference. But for our needs, it's not necessary. The question also has come up in the past about the line of gravity. What is the line of gravity? Where is the line of gravity? And of course, the line of gravity is anywhere, because gravity is constantly there pulling down. And so each of us, or each part of a limb, the line of gravity is going through it. So any question on that? No? Okay, so we start off with, where is the center of weight? Laban said it is in the pelvis, in the upper rim, centered, and so on. Well, indeed, when you are in normal standing position, that is where it would be. But we're not always in our normal standing position. And when you have different body configurations, how does that affect where the center of weight is? So the first thing is to center it over your base of support. The next question, what is your base of support? If you have your feet together, the base is narrower. If you're on one foot, it's even narrower. And as you know, when you are on point, it's extremely narrow, except of course for the Chinese dancer who stands on her partner's head. You've all seen that video. It's just extraordinary balance. But we're not doing that. So, one thing early on we need to differentiate, and that is the difference between moving the center of weight or a slight inclination of the torso in any direction. That these are two very separate happenings. So the torso movement, slight forwardness or backness, whatever it might be, doesn't necessarily affect your line of weight, your center of gravity. And very often when students are asked to shift the weight, they think they need to lean the body. So just trying to establish the difference there.
Good morning, sorry.
But if you're in second position, of course, you are more stable. If you are sitting, kneeling, you are much more stable because your base of support is larger, and you can shift the weight around without affecting balance. And the moment that you are beyond that point, that base of support, then you begin to fall. And this we usually feel, experience physically very easily. So then this question of, if I move my torso, if I'm away from my natural position, if, for instance, I incline the whole torso forward, then where is my centered weight? Where is my point of balance? And I think you know this one because of the party game where you stand up against the wall. You know that one? No? Where do we have the wall? I use this as a wall. Your heels have to be against the wall. Now, I have to lean forward and pick up a handkerchief from the floor. And of course, as soon as I lean forward, I begin to topple. People who have strong muscles, for instance, some of the Graham dancers, can incline the body forward without needing to compensate. And that compensation is what we all do naturally. Of course, you can't when you're up against a wall and there is no, as you lean forward, there's no backward compensation. But as a rule, if I'm here and I lean forward, there is a definite shift back, not an exaggerated one that becomes pelvic movement as well, but just the natural. And we see that, for instance, in classical ballet, when you're doing a développé on a seconde. Now the untrained will lean toward the bar, and you develop the muscles so that you hold yourself, and you can do that without moving away from being above that leg. So with development of strength of muscles, you can minimize adjustments. Okay? Everyone get up and experiment with that, with your center, with shifting the weight. Because there's no use going into notation symbols if you don't understand what the movement is that they are describing. You can feel the point where even if you're strong, you're going to topple over.
Zack, make sure, and Ray, make sure you're not covering Ann or it's okay?
So what we do in order to maintain balance, we often don't realize. And it's not something we have to notate because it's automatic. But of course, when we come to notate, where it does matter, where it is an intentional movement, then that's where we turn to the symbols. So the very smallest movement, then, whatever your base, is just that shift of the weight, which can be very, very slight, can be more exaggerated, of course. Shift of weight, sign for the center of gravity. Seems to be working very well.
Let's take another one.
Interesting historical development of the system. Laban used the pelvis sign for the center of weight. So at that time, from my experience, Laban was not an anatomical person concerned with the anatomical aspects. It was space and other things. So, of course, we realized you need a separate sign for the pelvis and the center of weight, because they are definitely not the same thing. Well, this is a beautiful black circle, as you can see. Now, the first thing that we did was any small movement is shown with a pin. So we have a forward pin just a slight taking the weight forward. Now notice I did nothing with the torso, just the weight. And then of course it can be in whatever direction. It can be sideward and so on. There is your basic shift of weight. Then we come to what happens when you walk. So in the natural walking pattern, you don't think of your center. You simply prepare, extend the leg, and continue the activity. We know that if somebody is there, and as you extend the leg, they break, your center of weight is already in motion, and if you don't have a leg to support it, to catch the weight, you fall over. Nasty trick. But in doing that, you really experience that transition of the center of weight that you don't normally think of. And we talk about walking as you extend the leg forward, contact the ground, then you transfer the weight over. You extend the leg, contact the ground, and transfer the weight over. But of course, that is a stylized walk and not your everyday version. Because without thinking, as you extend the leg, you shift the center of weight as far as it will go over your point of support. And then there is that moment before you transfer where it is in motion. And so then you step, step, step. And if you continue, the center of weight will be traveling smoothly until, if the choreography asks for it, you're moving forward. But then because you need to move backward, the last step forward will have built in instead of pressing on, it will hold, curtail, whatever word you want, and so that you then can start moving backward. That is something that makes for a very smooth performance, if that natural transition in direction is built in, and that's why we bring the students' attention to these automatic natural things, because in choreography they can be stressed. I'm walking forward and I want to make a thing, a special thing of that going back. That becomes the choreographic moment of importance.